Victorian London is the place to be this year, and Assassin's Creed Syndicate takes a pair of twin assassins to the city to drive carriages, steal trains, and let loose with a Gatling gun. The story follows Jacob and Evie Fry, twin assassins who get bored of life in the suburbs and ditch the Assassin's Council for a train to London. The contrast in their personalities soon becomes apparent. Jacob is hasty and looking for action, so he decides to form a gang and hunt down the Templar leaders. Meanwhile, Evie is more thoughtful and begins searching for clues to find a piece of Eden rumored to be hidden somewhere in the city. While the story missions are tied to a specific character, you can switch between the two characters anytime in the open world, except in your hideout, oddly enough. Aside from a few advanced abilities, there isn't a significant difference to how they play, but with a full experience system, you can build one to favor stealth while the other favors combat until you have enough skill points to max out both.
She's not allowed in here!
The pair's personality is portrayed through constant bickering. It can be entertaining at times, but Jacob is usually painted as an unlikable jerk and a bit of a screw-up, as Evie's missions often involve cleaning up after him. Evie is the more rational one, and she engages in more puzzles, but her story eventually feels underdeveloped in the game's later sequences, which focus almost solely on Jacob.
Maybe next time I'll walk.
The twins have run-ins with the historical figures of the day, yet these individuals are portrayed somewhat as caricatures, with Dickens fumbling with his papers and Alexander Graham Bell being the latest inventor to craft tools for the assassins like the grappling hook and shocking voltaic bombs.
A lot to sift through. I'm gonna get the initiates on it ASAP.
Present-day events haven't gone away, but they've been minimized to a handful of cutscenes. There's brief context as the assassins hunt for the same piece of Eden as Evie, but since the present-day arc waits until its final act to reveal anything significant, it isn't strong enough to provide additional motivation for your quest. Victorian London works well as a new setting, with carriages, steamships, and even child labor playing into your adventures. Even your hideout is on a perpetually moving train. Getting around is faster than ever as you can hijack a variety of horse-drawn carriages. However, there are off-putting moments where you're essentially engaged in demolition derbies, encouraged to ram attackers and smash lampposts as if the horses are bulldozers rather than living creatures. Your other new way of getting around is with the grappling hook, which feels fantastic as you scale buildings, and it can also be used to zipline across gaps, saving the trouble of dropping to ground level or vaulting over obstacles. The open world is littered with things to do. Helix glitches, pressed flowers, and beer bottles, yes, beer bottles, are the latest round of collectibles that are just there for the taking, and after so many years of gathering similar items, it simply doesn't feel worth the effort. The music boxes, however, stand out as there's more of a puzzle element to finding them. You have to compare photos, examine the environment, and listen for their tune. The main downside is that with 32 to collect, even that process can get a bit exhausting.
What could be happening?
That looks like trouble over there.
It's just my luck.
Gang warfare in the city mostly comes in the form of taking territory in each district, and often doesn't require your gang's involvement at all. You'll assassinate a Templar, kidnap gang leaders, or free children working in factories to take each zone. When you own a full district, you can start a gang fight to seal the deal. The problem is these territorial goals quickly become repetitive, and there's not much to make killing one random target stand out from the next. The kidnapping segments can feel especially silly as your captives are often stuck in an endless dialogue loop, and if you blow it and get spotted, many times they'll patiently stand and wait for you to finish murdering their crew rather than running away. Thankfully, there are a number of side quests as well involving your associates, such as the crew running your train, Charles Darwin, and Karl Marx. These are far more interesting, and Dickens, perhaps, has the best of the lot, as you track down reports of ghosts and other supernatural occurrences in order to find out if they have any merit or if there's a more rational explanation. Of course, treasure chests lie hidden around every corner, including cash and crafting materials, with some offering unique contents. Money can be made more efficiently, however, by engaging in side activities around town. You can smash faces for prize money in fight clubs, hijack cargo shipments, or even pull off a quick train robbery. While you can certainly go out of your way to amass wealth when you need it, money doesn't pile up as easily as past games. There's a ton of weapons, outfits, and gear to buy for Jacob and Evie, as well as upgrades for your gang, and there's always seems to be something just out of your price range. Perhaps that's more for the sake of microtransactions. You can spend real money on in-game currency, crafting materials, XP boosts, and even maps revealing the secrets. But unless you're obsessive about equipping and upgrading every item, you can get everything you need without having to grind or pay extra. While the new weapons offer brutal animations, the combat itself is not particularly great. Counters are still king, and once you get a feel for the game's rhythm, enemies put up little resistance. Stealth objectives are quite open-ended, usually allowing you many entry points to approach a situation, but at times, it can also be hard to read a layout and form a plan. Unless there's a mission parameter discouraging you from killing guards, there's little consequence to being spotted, so you can just quickly fight off whoever saw you and get back into the shadows with no one else the wiser. Thankfully, the story scenarios are stronger overall, and major assassinations present even more options in the form of additional targets who might aid you and secret passages. There are also unique kill opportunities, such as posing as a corpse on an operating table to assassinate a doctor. All of these additional factors lend more of a problem-solving aspect to these scenarios. While the story doesn't really have any twists or turns, we warmed up to the game as we encountered more interesting missions, and there are some easy-to-miss surprises tucked away as well. In terms of glitches, we saw nothing like the missing faces in Unity, although there is occasionally an out-of-place citizen or an amusing break in a street sweeper's animation. The game's performance isn't always great, and it can bog down particularly in crowded carriage traffic, but it isn't a deal-breaker. More troubling bugs came occasionally as we'd randomly fail a mission when completing it correctly, or we wouldn't have the next stage of a mission load, causing us to repeat a bit of progress in both cases.
Oh, don't mind the flies, it's just the weather. And they add flavour.
The environments in Syndicate's London are quite beautiful and full. Taking a casual stroll reveals lively streets with fish merchants hawking their wares by the Thames, workers building in construction sites, and street performers in Trafalgar Square. There are some massive structures on display, and it's awe-inspiring to climb the Houses of Parliament or St. Paul's Cathedral. The music by Austin Wintory is also fantastic, fitting the era, and it doesn't wear itself out on a single main theme, adopting different feels in different areas.
Need help? You shouldn't be here. Get going.
Assassin's Creed Syndicate makes some strides forward with more substantial side quests and interesting story missions, even if the plot itself doesn't really go anywhere. Exploring this recreation of London is a marvel, but the repetitive cycle of taking territories and gathering pointless collectibles quickly wears thin, while gameplay pillars in stealth and combat still feel lacking. It's the most modern Assassin's Creed has been, but the Industrial Revolution doesn't quite bring the series into a new age.
What a prick.